My buddy kept earnestly warning me not to be a simp, saying Rosalie wasn't truly into me, saying that a simp like me would end up with nothing. But I turned a deaf ear to all of it. I even agreed on the spot to that outrageous $880,000 bride price. Until my girlfriend's Prince Charming returned to the country and flirted with her right in front of me, only then did I become overjoyed. I pulled out my wish list and checked off a box: sleep with a 30-60 beauty, achieved. Finally found someone to take over the whole mess. After all, I already got what I wanted. Whether she's sincere or not, why would I care? I never planned to marry her anyway. Even if she asked for $8.88 million, I wouldn't even blink. Chapter 1. At my girlfriend's birthday party, I was mocked face-to-face by her Prince Charming. Derek, why are all of Rosalie's social media posts just selfies? There's not a single post about you. Anyone who doesn't know better would think she's single. I showed a miserable smile, the kind that screams unrequited love. I said, maybe she just doesn't like me that much. I looked downcast as I added, honestly, I've always known. After all, for the past few years, it's always been me giving her gifts and surprises. As for me, having her might already be enough. The atmosphere stiffened. Rosalie's best friend immediately complained to me, Derek, why would you say that about Rosalie? That's just how relationships work, of course the one who pursues should put in more effort. And it's not like Rosalie only takes without giving. A while ago, she even asked my boyfriend for advice about preparing your birthday gift. Hearing that, I almost couldn't hold back my laughter. They're the ones who say men must take the initiative in love, and they're also the ones who say the one who takes the initiative has to give more. It's practically a perfect logical loop. It's just that this kind of moral judgment contains no facts and cannot be proven true or false. It merely expresses the speaker's likes and dislikes, a purely emotional appeal. I tugged at the corner of my mouth and said, really? But my birthday was 2 days ago. She forgot. Rosalie's expression darkened. She said, why are you bringing this up? Didn't I apologize afterward? Besides, isn't it normal for you to give me gifts? If I don't get anything from you, what am I even dating you for? If I don't like someone, I don't even want to spend his money. And about the social media thing, I told you already, I don't want people knowing about my private life. But the next second, her best friend said, but I remember back in middle school you used to show off your relationship with your boyfriend all the time on social media. Rosalie blushed and muttered, I was stupid and childish back then. People grow up. Vincent chuckled, is that so? I thought growing up just meant love isn't as passionate as when we were younger. Their back and forth looked like playful bickering, but the underlying tension was practically glowing with flirtation. Funny how everyone at the table had been hiding it from me all night. At this point, even if I were blind, I could see they had dated. A birthday party where her loving current boyfriend and her still lingering ex showed up together. Classic Rosalie. Vincent glanced at me and said with a smile, Derek, as a man you should be more generous. Loving someone means always feeling you owe them. Women only care about the attitude. When I give Rosalie gifts, I never fuss about gains or losses. This part one can confirm, Vincent really simps harder than I ever did. Every holiday he sends Rosalie money, gifts, new iPhones, luxury handbags, he spares no expense just to outdo me, as if proving he can make Rosalie happier would make me back off. Too bad, I honestly couldn't care less about whether she's happy. I smiled good-naturedly, pulled up the post on my phone, and showed Vincent. I said, bro, look. Rosalie actually did post a picture of us together. A lot of people at this table even liked it. So she probably set that one to be invisible to you. You might be her backup option, her spare ATM. Vincent froze. Rosalie became furious and snapped, Derek, can you stop already? I waved a hand casually and said, hey, why are you raising your voice? Everything I said is true. Chapter 2. I once liked Rosalie so badly, completely hopelessly obsessed. The first time I met her was when she brought her younger cousin to my physics tutoring class. Her face stunned me. How could a girl be that beautiful? Delicate features, long eyelashes, every subtle expression filled with irresistible charm. It's not like I've never seen girls before. In our university class of 70 people, there were actually 2 who were girls. The poor class beauty was overshadowed in front of her. I asked her cousin, "What's your sister's name? Send me her contact info, and can you have her bring you again next time?" Her cousin tilted her head and said, "You're the third tutor to ask me that." I said, "She takes such good care of you. She'll definitely become a great wife and a great mother in the future." Her cousin was speechless. That's how our relationship started, me persistently chasing and her half-heartedly accepting. To this day, I still don't understand why she agreed to date me. She clearly didn't like me that much. Maybe she was bored. Maybe she was impressed by my relentless pursuit. Maybe she didn't want to miss out on the physics tutor who finally helped her cousin pass the class. The day I kissed her, I felt heaven had finally shown me mercy. I had finally become the overpowered protagonist I used to fantasize about as a kid. The day I slept with her, I swore I would donate $5 million to children in poverty once I got rich. Mom, the world really loves me. Chapter 3. My family didn't think highly of her, and even my friends could see Rosalie wasn't sincere with me. They told me not to be a simp. But I didn't care much. I already had her physically, why should I care whether she loved me sincerely or not? Besides, since I had already won her, suffering a bit emotionally felt natural. Otherwise, I'd even worry that life was treating me too well and something worse would happen later. She never took photos with me, nor did she let me post her pictures online. When my buddies heard I had a girlfriend and said they wanted to meet her, Rosalie said she didn't want to. On Valentine's Day, my coworkers were all planning to leave work early. They asked me what I was doing that night. I said, "Nothing much. Just heading home early and playing some games." They were confused. "Wait, what? You're not spending it with your girlfriend? Did you two fight?" I didn't tell them I had been planning this Valentine's Day for a long time. I spent 4 years in college single as hell, finally having a girlfriend. I valued this Valentine's Day a lot. But when I prepared the gift, booked the restaurant, and asked Rosalie whether she was free that night, she said she already planned a camping trip with her girlfriends. All girls. No guys. I said, "Valentine's Day should be spent with your boyfriend, shouldn't it?" She immediately turned it back on me, accusing me of acting on my own, not respecting her, and booking a restaurant without asking for her opinion. I was speechless. I work far from my hometown and often have to work overtime. My mom always calls to ask whether I'm tired and whether I have enough money. But today she brought up how Rosalie had mentioned wanting $880,000 as a bride price, plus a house in the city under her name if we got married. My mom hesitated and said, "Does Rosalie really want a future with you?" She added, "Your dad and I can help with the bride price and the house, but you need to think carefully first." But I cut her off. "Think about what?" My mom said, "About you two getting married." I laughed. I said, "Who said we're getting married?" My mom looked completely baffled. I continued, "I never planned to marry her anyway. Even if she wants $1 million, it has nothing to do with me. Once I save enough money, I'm going abroad. If my girlfriend truly loved me, I'd actually feel burdened. It's easier that Rosalie doesn't like me that much. Makes the breakup convenient. My buddy always said to me, I've never seen you this humble before. What kind of beauty is worth this? Well, Rosalie is beautiful enough to be worth it. And not just beautiful, she's skilled too. They say a night of passion is priceless. I don't need to spend a priceless fortune, just paint a few pretty dreams and I get soul-shaking nights in return. Honestly, that's a great deal. After a few more tutoring sessions, Rosalie's younger cousin warned me, my sister's first love is Vincent. He's coming back to the country in September. You should watch out. I was a little surprised, then I laughed. I said, thanks for worrying about me. You didn't even want to give me her contact info before, and now you're helping me. She looked at me as if she hated how clueless I was. She said, I just think your relationship looks painful. You checked your phone 18 times in one break and still didn't get a reply from my sister. You can explain physics so well, how come you can't figure out women? I rubbed my chin, not sure whether I was making excuses for myself or for Rosalie. I said, your sister's so pretty, it's normal for her to be a little cold. Her cousin protested indignantly, so what if she's pretty? You're not bad either. You graduated from a top university, you radiate intelligence, and you make money. One-on-one tutoring is $1,000 an hour. How much do you earn in a month? She continued, you and my sister are a perfect match, smart guy, beautiful girl. My parents and I all think you're great together. I couldn't help laughing as I said, thank you, thank you. You flatter me too much. Chapter 4. As the money I saved for studying abroad grew closer to my goal, Rosalie's so-called Prince Charming's return date drew closer too. I knew this year-long fling of ours would eventually come to an end. My thoughts drifted back as Rosalie said coldly, Derek, I don't know what's gotten into you lately. She continued, so after you finally got me, this is your attitude. Let me tell you, if you want to date, then date properly. If you don't, then we break up. Everyone thought I would back down and apologize, since I was always the one coaxing her. But I had already saved enough money. I lowered my head, heart aching, my voice hoarse as I said, Rosalie, I fell in love with you the first moment I saw you. But I've always known, you don't like me that much. In your heart, I can never compare to your first love. I said, I don't want to be in a relationship I can't win anymore. Word by word, I said, let's break up. She froze. Then she suddenly laughed and said, fine. Don't regret it. I stood up and left in loneliness, leaving behind a defeated silhouette. Chapter 5. The atmosphere in the private room froze. Someone said, Rosalie, don't stay mad at your boyfriend. She said unhappily, who's mad? He's the one who went too far. Vincent was just joking. Did he really need to be so aggressive? Someone tried to interject, but... Rosalie snapped angrily, but what? Vincent wasn't wrong. Of course I don't feel as passionate now as I did with my first love. Why can't he handle the truth? Derek being overly sensitive isn't my problem. Her best friend tried to comfort her, Derek liked you so much before. Suddenly seeing your ex would make anyone uncomfortable. Rosalie rolled her eyes and said, he should know his place. Do I like him that much? He brought up breaking up. How dare he? A satisfied smile appeared on Vincent's face. Someone else tried to persuade her, Derek must be regretting it like crazy right now. I bet the moment he walked out of the restaurant, he started thinking about how to beg for your forgiveness. He's just too embarrassed to say it. Rosalie, give him a call. Give him a way out. Vincent suddenly said, what's wrong with you guys? I'm the one who's actually your friend here. And I'm sitting right here. You're really going to take Derek's side? What did he ever do for you? The person next to him said, Vincent, they're just having a couples fight. Derek and Rosalie are boyfriend and girlfriend. We can't encourage Rosalie to dump him and be with you instead. That'd be messed up. Another agreed, exactly. Vincent was left speechless. Rosalie was also irritated. At some point, her childhood friends had all started defending Derek. That man really knew how to play the long game, winning over her friends to speak well of him. Did he think that meant he could control her? She didn't like him that much anyway, Rosalie kept telling herself that. She really didn't like Derek that much. He looked average, came from an average family, and had no exciting hobbies. Not like Vincent, your classic tall rich handsome type. One day watching animal migrations in Africa, the next day diving in the Maldives. His social media was full of luxury cars and designer watches, and he had thousands of followers. In high school, Vincent was the star of the entire school. Standing next to him, Rosalie could clearly feel how his status elevated hers. Only she deserved to stand beside him. Other girls envied her. And Derek? Ordinary, unkempt, nothing special at all. But he knew exactly how to stir a woman's emotions. When he needed her, he would hold her in his arms and tease her until she melted completely. He was so bold, so self-assured, not caring at all that she had only had experience recently and would turn weak the moment he touched her. She never told him that, she didn't want him getting cocky. She didn't understand why a man who was so average and so obviously horny could make her react the way she did. She always thought she would only fall for someone like Vincent. And worse, Derek could flip the script instantly. He was the one on the lower end of the relationship in theory, yet with one single sentence, I've been busy lately. Whatever it is, let's talk in 2 weeks, he made her so angry she nearly had a heart attack. He acted like she was the one who got dumped, like she was the one pathetically begging him to come back. Rosalie made up her mind. When he came crawling back asking to reconcile, she would treat him well for a few days, then ruthlessly dump him. Only that would restore the balance of power between them. But what happened? Derek enjoyed himself with her again and again, and then had the nerve to say they were just friends with benefits, that he felt no responsibility toward her. Rosalie was furious, on the verge of exploding. She felt like she had been completely used for free. Chapter 6. I went back to the rental apartment Rosalie and I shared, and Buddy was waiting for me at the door. Buddy was a little mutt, soft fur, bright eyes, and a bit of a people-pleasing personality. Back when Rosalie and I went hiking, the owner of a farmhouse told us their dog had given birth and said we could take a puppy if we wanted. I refused immediately. I didn't own a place in the city, and I was preparing to study abroad. How could I take care of a dog? But the puppy was so clingy. When we were leaving in the morning, it grabbed onto us, unwilling to let go. The owner asked, "Are you sure you don't want to take it?" I was about to refuse again when Rosalie said, "I want to keep it." I asked her, "Are you sure? Are you prepared to take responsibility for it for its whole life?" Rosalie let out a soft hum and said meaningfully, "What about you? Aren't you planning to take responsibility?" My emotions were mixed as I said, "I mean, since you said you want to keep it, if one day we break up, would you still be able to raise it on your own?" She gave me a long look, didn't answer, and simply carried the puppy into the car. I fed Buddy, took it out for a walk. While I packed my luggage, it kept circling around my feet. I stroked its head, reluctant, and said, "Sorry, little guy. I'm leaving." Half joking, half heartless, I said, "At the end of the day, you're your mom's dog. Your mom and I were just a fleeting romance. You and I aren't even related." It wagged its tail as if half understanding, circled me again, then went to the living room to fetch a ball, wanting me to play with it. I didn't have many belongings, one suitcase was enough. After packing, I played with the dog until it got tired. I used up all the film left in my Polaroid taking photos of it. Then I rubbed its head and said, "Buddy, I'm leaving. You must always be a happy, healthy little dog." Chapter 7. I checked into a hotel, ordered a cup of coffee, and opened my old notebook. The first page was something I had written on my 20th birthday, 100 wishes to accomplish before turning 30. 1. Take part in a research project related to controlled nuclear fusion. 2. Do a PhD at MIT. 3. Buy my parents a big house back in our hometown. 4. Learn to surf. 5. Travel around the world. 6. Date an ultra-super gorgeous beauty. 7. Think about it later, crossed out, 7. Save 1.5 million, crossed out, 7. Save 2 million. I had arranged these goals by difficulty. The first one came true quickly. In my junior year, I ranked top 2 in my department and received a scholarship to Switzerland to join a summer research project in plasma physics. I even got a recommendation letter from a famous professor. That year, I was full of ambition, everything felt under my control. I thought the second goal would follow soon after. But because of various twists and turns, I drifted further and further away from the research path I had set for myself. Ironically, the goal I once thought was least likely, the sixth one, was the first to come true. And the seventh goal? I added that later. After several revisions, now I only had 20 or 30,000 left before reaching it. It was time to get back on track. I sent a message to a former classmate who now teaches at MIT, "Sophie, can I talk to you about applying for the PhD program at MIT?" Chapter 8. Sophie was my classmate during undergrad. She was a competition gold medalist, recommended all the way up, and naturally went to MIT for her PhD. Back then, everyone said the two of us were like mirror versions of each other. I also thought I would follow the same path step by step. In senior year, I talked with Sophie about applying to MIT. She helped me a lot, very warmly. We video called so many times that it even felt like we were drifting towards something ambiguous. But right before the results came out, I withdrew my application. She called me, furious, and demanded, I heard you joined a tutoring agency to make quick money. She said, can you have some ambition? The golden period for doing research is short. Derek, do you even value your own talent? I vaguely felt she was right. The field I wanted to pursue was making breakthroughs every year. Wait a few years and there might not be much left for me. But I didn't want to choose differently. After that, we stopped contacting each other. And just like that, 3 years passed. Sophie happened to come back to the country during spring break, and we arranged a late-night meal. She pulled out a chair, set her bag at her side, sat down, and immediately said to me, I've always wanted to apologize, but I didn't know how to bring it up. She looked straight at me and said, I didn't know what you were going through back then. I questioned your decisions and even snapped at you. She wore a blue knitted sweater and a white skirt, a student-like outfit with no sense of age. Her eyes were sincere. For a moment, I remembered the first day we met in the lab. It felt as if the passing years had been an illusion. I said, back then, my family got scammed out of $1.5 million by telecom fraud. My mom said it was the money meant for my studies abroad. I told her I had a scholarship, but she didn't believe me. She asked around everywhere trying to exchange foreign currency, and that's when she got targeted. During that time, my parents were constantly spaced out, replaying the scam over and over. If I went to get my PhD on scholarship, that financial hole would always be there. Seeing them in that mental state was worrisome. And to me, that money was their retirement savings. When it disappeared, I felt a hollow emptiness inside. I calculated it, if I used the reputation of my university to tutor, charging $1,000 per hour, the agency takes $400 and I get $600, 4 hours a day is $2,400. I could earn it all back in less than 2 years. The job was easy, paid well, and wasn't illegal. Going back to school 2 years late didn't seem too bad. I never told anyone this. Rosalie didn't know either. Sophie spoke softly, so, now, you've solved it all. I grinned and nodded. Saving money happened faster than I expected. Within half a year of joining the agency, I gained some reputation and they increased my hourly rate. My share became higher too. After checking inflation data, I started thinking that $1.5 million felt a bit too little, might as well save $2 million. Once I reached $2 million, I would quit. A few nights ago, staring at the numbers in my bank account nearing $2 million, I felt an unprecedented sense of relief and satisfaction. Sophie said, that's incredible. Kind of like enduring hardship for future success. Holding it in for so long and finally saying it aloud, it was its own kind of release. Truthfully, it wasn't that bitter. During that time, I chased down Rosalie and unlocked new life experiences. A woman I once only dared admire through photos ended up living under the same roof with me. Even the days spent preparing for the future were full of flavor. Chapter 9. I quickly rented a new apartment and pulled out my study abroad application from 3 years ago to revise it. Fortunately, I had kept up with the recent research progress in the field. Last year, I even took 2 months to join a university research project. My language scores and GRE were still valid. It was just the personal statements that needed a major rewrite, and I had to reconnect with professors for recommendation letters. Sophie offered to help me as well. During her break, she came to my place every day to review my materials. It felt like going back to those high school days preparing for physics competitions. Back then, a few of us would gather at a familiar classmate's house, squeeze around one desk, each doing our own problems, and then discussing them afterward. We had similar talent, and none of us were distracted. We didn't worry about money. We didn't worry about anything outside of physics. That was my comfort zone. During this time, Rosalie called me twice. I didn't really catch what she wanted. I only heard the thick dissatisfaction in her voice, accusations, complaints, and belittling spilling out like rapid fire. When I work, I enter a kind of flow state, emotions muted, so I said, I've been busy lately. Whatever it is, let's talk in 2 weeks. Rosalie was furious and hung up immediately. Sophie asked, run into a difficult parent? I shrugged. Ex-girlfriend. Then I added, well, technically a parent too. Her cousin takes tutoring lessons from me. Sophie didn't ask further and went back to helping me prepare for the interview. After a while, Rosalie sent me 2 photos and said, "Buddy won't eat properly. If you don't come back, the dog is going to die." Sophie caught a glimpse and asked, "So you dumped her?" I shook my head. "She dumped me." Sophie frowned. "But she looks like she's panicking." Chapter 10. I still felt uneasy, so I told Sophie we should end early. I needed to check on Buddy. Rosalie opened the door, and Buddy circled around my feet. It was nothing like the lifeless dog in the photos, full of energy, lively, and bouncy like a high-jump athlete. I picked Buddy up and rubbed its head helplessly, saying, "If you really don't want to take care of it, I'll keep it." I thought, worst case, I'll take it abroad with me. Renting a dog-friendly apartment isn't impossible. Suddenly she stood on tiptoe, hooked her arms around my neck, and kissed me. The little dog let out a startled yelp and jumped down. What the hell? Do breakups come with after-sales service now? Didn't expect today to include a passionate scene. While I was still stunned, she pushed on my chest, forcing me down onto the sofa. The next second, she straddled my lap and slipped off her jacket. My rationality snapped back, and I said, "Did you sleep with Vincent? I don't want anything that's been contaminated." She glared at me furiously. I warned, "No way. Answer clearly." Only then did she huff in frustration and say, "No. We didn't." Then, angry and embarrassed, she bit my shoulder. Great. No risk, perfect. I still didn't know why she was so mad, but honestly, after breaking up, everything is just a bonus. Whatever's going on in her mind, what does it have to do with me? Soon it was past midnight. I drifted off and woke again when the sky was bright. Sunlight slipped through the curtains, landing on her chest and thighs. I couldn't help touching her, the sensation felt unreal. I was eating too well. Who would have thought that after breaking up, I'd still be eating this good? If I posted this online, wouldn't I get tens of thousands of likes from the guys? The next second, Rosalie asked, "Do you admit you were wrong?" I was speechless. I instantly felt a bit impotent. Last night she was crying and begging me not to stop. And today she's acting like she's the one in charge again. I admit, before I always backed down because I was horny, so I kept giving in to her. But the breakup after sales has ended. Why would I still spoil her? I said slowly, "We're just friends with benefits." You didn't actually think I came back to reconcile, did you? Chapter 11. Rosalie was about to explode from anger. Derek used to love her like a madman, chasing her relentlessly, so how did things turn into her looking like the one who was blinded by love? Derek was infuriating. Not long after getting her, he somehow infiltrated all her friend circles. Everyone kept saying how good he was to her, how much he treated her like a treasure, as if he was her only option. That night at her birthday party, she'd had a few drinks, her eyes red at the corners. Vincent was interested, she wasn't opposed, so the two naturally got in a taxi together. She sat in the back seat, tipsy and leaning into Vincent, and Vincent conveniently wrapped an arm around her, the faint scent of wood and grass lingering in the air. Vincent said he'd take her to a hotel and was just about to tell the driver the address. Suddenly the passenger door opened, and Christina got in. She narrowed her eyes and asked, "Well, why are you two leaning so close? Planning to share one seatbelt?" "Vincent, what are you doing? Taking advantage of Rosalie because she's drunk? Move away." Vincent gave an awkward smile and immediately shifted away from Rosalie. Rosalie shot Christina a glare, she wanted nothing more than to kick her out of the car. Christina opened her map app and told the driver, "I've mapped the best route. We'll drop Vincent off first, then me. Follow my directions." Rosalie protested, "Christina, get out and call your own ride." But Christina's voice turned cold, "Rosalie, don't forget, you have a boyfriend." Then she turned to Vincent, "Vincent, why don't you take a separate car? Rosalie and I need to talk." Vincent still had some sense of decency. When the car arrived at his place, he got out obediently. But then Christina suddenly changed the route again, insisting she'd stay at Rosalie's place for the night. Rosalie frowned. "Are you insane? Who invited you?" Christina gave her a "what can you do about it" look and said, "You want to cheat? Fine. But not right in front of me. My little brother is preparing for the physics competition." Derek answers every question he asks. I'm not letting you sabotage that. Behave. If my brother fails to get into a top university, it's all on you. Christina followed Rosalie all the way home. All of Derek's belongings were already gone. Rosalie froze in place. She thought, did he really need to overreact like this? Christina fanned the flames beside her. Well. He really dumped you. Guess I was worrying for nothing. I'm going home. Rosalie snorted, he dumped me. He'll be crawling back in a few days begging for forgiveness. Christina asked seriously, are you sure? Has he ever threatened to break up before? She continued, but you use breakups as threats all the time. Derek isn't like that. Rosalie suddenly lost confidence. But so what if they broke up? She didn't like Derek that much anyway. Rosalie kept telling herself that. She really didn't like Derek that much. He looked average, came from an average family, and had no exciting hobbies. Not like Vincent, your classic tall rich handsome type. One day watching animal migrations in Africa, the next day diving in the Maldives. His social media was full of luxury cars and designer watches, and he had thousands of followers. In high school, Vincent was the star of the entire school. Standing next to him, Rosalie could clearly feel how his status elevated hers. Only she deserved to stand beside him. Other girls envied her. And Derek? Ordinary, unkempt, nothing special at all. But he knew exactly how to stir a woman's emotions. When he needed her, he would hold her in his arms and tease her until she melted completely. He was so bold, so self-assured, not caring at all that she had only had experience recently and would turn weak the moment he touched her. She never told him that, she didn't want him getting cocky. She didn't understand why a man who was so average and so obviously horny could make her react the way she did. She always thought she would only fall for someone like Vincent. And worse, Derek could flip the script instantly. He was the one on the lower end of the relationship in theory, yet with one single sentence, I've been busy lately. Whatever it is, let's talk in 2 weeks, he made her so angry she nearly had a heart attack. He acted like she was the one who got dumped, like she was the one pathetically begging him to come back. Rosalie made up her mind, when he came crawling back asking to reconcile, she would treat him well for a few days, then ruthlessly dump him. Only that would restore the balance of power between them. But what happened? Derek enjoyed himself with her again and again, and then had the nerve to say they were just friends with benefits, that he felt no responsibility toward her. Rosalie was furious, on the verge of exploding. She felt like she had been completely used for free. Chapter 12. Rosalie threw the clothes and pants at me all at once, telling me to put them on quickly and get out. I looked at Buddy with some hesitation and said, are you sure you still want to keep it? Do you need me to take it away for you? She practically screamed, shouting, this is my dog. Well, that put me at ease. After a brief moment of leisure, my life went back on track. The main application had already been submitted. If I passed the preliminary review, the department would arrange 2 interviews. Sophie and I were both physics majors, but our research directions were very different. I studied controlled nuclear fusion while she worked in astrophysics. She helped me rehearse the interview several times, and she had already asked almost every possible question. She said, anything deeper than this, I won't understand. Before the formal interview, you can talk to people in your field about the latest developments. She was leaving for the US in a few days, and she had spent almost the entire vacation accompanying me. On the day we parted, I suddenly found myself tongue-tied, unable to fully express the gratitude in my heart. She cut me off with a smile and said, classmate Wang, with your talent, you deserve the best platform, otherwise it would be such a waste. I really want to see you produce results. She gave me a gentle smile and said, see you at MIT. Chapter 13. Fortunately, over the past 2 years, I had never let go of my field. I had always kept up with cutting-edge developments and maintained contact with researchers in the area. I had also been constantly thinking about what I could contribute to this field. The interviews went very smoothly. A few days later, I received the admission letter. The big congratulations popped out in my inbox, and my heart pounded. The surroundings suddenly became quiet. I sat there for a few minutes, then took a screenshot and sent it to Sophie. She replied quickly. She said, "They decided to admit you 3 years ago." I happened to overhear them chatting in the office back then, saying that the applicant they were optimistic about had withdrawn the application. I felt it was such a pity. "You're back on your original path again. Congratulations." I called my parents, messaged my brothers, and wrote emails to scholars in the same field whom I knew well. When night fell, I burned paper offerings for my grandparents who had taught me math and physics since I was little but were born in the wrong era and never had the chance to reach their full potential. Fulfilling a wish feels so wonderful. I couldn't wait to share the news with everyone. Sophie really understands me. I'm finally able to return to the road I started on. Chapter 14. After that, while applying for my visa, I wrapped up my work at the training center. Rosalie's cousin still had 2 prepaid lessons left. I told her that after finishing them, I wouldn't be renewing the contract. She hesitated and asked, "Mr. Wong, are you okay?" Rosalie and Vincent were together now. They were very high profile about it, in obvious contrast to how low-key Rosalie and I had been when we dated. If she had dumped me a year earlier, I would have been devastated. But now it was fine, because I no longer had expectations and I had already enjoyed whatever there was to enjoy. I told her cousin, "I'm fine, don't worry." But not 2 days later, Rosalie came to our center during work hours. She flipped her hair and spoke with disdain, using this kind of tactic to force me to come here. "Aren't you being childish?" I frowned. "What tactic?" she said, stopping my cousin's classes. I was speechless. "It's not stopping. It's letting the contract end without renewal. Everything already paid for will still be completed." She scoffed lightly. "You'll only renew if you get back together with me." I rubbed my brow. "This has nothing to do with you. It's because of my own plans." She said, "Stop pretending." With a faint smirk, she acted as if she had complete control over me. The director thought I was being troubled by a parent, so he knocked on the door, came in, and explained to her, "Sorry, ma'am, but Mr. Wong is resigning next month. We have several other physics teachers here. If you need, your child can try their classes for free." "You're resigning?" Rosalie asked. "Then what are you going to do afterward?" The director realized we knew each other and quietly slipped back out. I couldn't help but laugh. "So concerned about me, ex-girlfriend?" Her face instantly returned to cold indifference. I imitated her earlier tone and said, "You'll only renew if we date." "TSK, tisk." She went back to pretending she didn't care, flipped her hair, and walked out. That evening, Rosalie finally messaged her cousin, "Did he tell you what he plans to do in the future?" Her cousin replied, "Which he?" Rosalie said, "Don't tell me you went to the center to look for Mr. Wong." Her cousin answered, "I don't mind that he won't renew. You cheated on him, so it's normal that he doesn't want to teach me. But don't use my name as an excuse to go find Mr. Wong. I don't want to be associated with a scumbag like you and make him think I'm the same kind of person." Chapter 15. After finishing all my classes at the center, I asked Christina's younger brother, Ethan, to hang out. The way I got to know him was quite incredible. When we went on a picnic, Christina brought her brother along. That day, the young man looked very aloof. He climbed the mountain alone with his head down, not saying a single unnecessary word. In the middle of the trip, he needed to use the restroom, so the 2 of us went together. On our way back, we heard Rosalie on the phone with someone. Her tone was light and cheerful. "What do you mean? Derek is just a poor loser teaching at a tutoring center. Are you jealous? Then come back to the country. If you come back, I'll break up with him." The air around us suddenly became suffocating. I was actually okay with it. Having someone else take over wasn't necessarily a bad thing. But before I could say anything, Ethan marched straight over and slapped Rosalie across the face. He shouted angrily, "Bitch." Rosalie was so shocked that her phone fell to the ground. I was deeply stunned. A warrior. He didn't even know my name yet. And that's how we got close. He told me not to be a simp, and I shared with him my experience preparing for academic competitions. But honestly, he didn't need me to succeed. He was extremely gifted, unbelievably hardworking, and intensely focused. Someone like him could succeed at anything. After hearing that I had broken up with Rosalie, Ethan would message me every few days, "Derek, don't be a simp, okay? If it really doesn't work, I can introduce my sister to you." I told him I wasn't a simp, but he didn't believe me and he would ask again a few days later. He lived at a boarding school, so he couldn't come out to see me nor could he immediately retaliate against Rosalie. But he persisted in leaving sarcastic comments under every one of Rosalie's social media posts, along with long strings of thumbs down emojis. Rosalie replied, "What's wrong with you? I'm best friends with your sister." Ethan responded, "Bitch." Every time I saw it, I secretly felt delighted. When Ethan finally saw me, he rushed over like a rocket. "Derek, are you okay?" I opened my email and showed him the admission letter. He yelled, "Holy shit. It's MIT, Einstein's alma mater." His eyes sparkled. He said, "Bro, what's your research direction? Can I visit you in the future?" Chapter 16. A few days later, at Rosalie's grandmother's birthday banquet, Vincent attended with his arm around Rosalie. Grandma asked Rosalie, "Where's that boyfriend of yours? Why didn't he come?" Ethan leaned over and said, "Derek is going to MIT for his PhD. He already broke up with her." Grandma exclaimed, "He's that impressive?" Rosalie rolled her eyes and said, "Grandma, don't listen to him. Derek never prepared to go abroad." Ethan raised a brow and said, "That's only because you didn't know. He never included you in his future plans at all." For the entire evening, Rosalie seemed distracted. She was trying to figure out how much truth there was in Ethan's words. Derek had never mentioned going abroad. Besides, if he were going abroad, wouldn't he have to prepare for language exams and the GRE? Her classmates who planned to study overseas in college spent every day doing practice tests or memorizing vocabulary books. Derek had never prepared for any of that. He joked around every day, doing a job that was extremely easy for him with no seemingly lofty ambitions. Rosalie assumed he would just take advantage of middle school parents for the rest of his life. But then she thought, if it were true, the way he saved money would suddenly make sense. He made $60,000 to $70,000 a month, didn't buy property or invest, didn't smoke or drink, had no bad habits except being a bit of a pervert, and only spent $2,000 or $3,000 a month. So he'd been building up to a big move all along. Rosalie thought, she had to go ask Derek and get a clear answer. If what Ethan said was true, wouldn't that mean Derek had used her? She contributed her extraordinary body, contributed emotional support. What did he take her for? Beside her, Vincent asked darkly, "You're still thinking about Derek?" Rosalie snapped out of it. "Of course not. I'm just wondering whether Ethan was lying to me." Chapter 17. Rosalie asked me out. She looked upset, staring at me as if I had committed some terrible crime. She bit her lip and said, "Ethan said you're going to MIT. Is it true?" I answered, "It is." She said, "Then why didn't you ever tell me?" She fired off her questions like bullets. "We were together for a year, and you never mentioned it once. Derek, what did you take me for?" She looked betrayed, as though I were the real scumbag. But she was the one who used me to fill her empty time while waiting for Vincent to return. I had been faithful, never cheated, never treated her as a substitute. I just wanted to fight for a better future. She glared at me and said, "You calculated everything perfectly, didn't you? You said you loved me, every one of your friends thought you were deeply devoted. But you had everything planned from the start. You just used me as a transition." She continued, "What did you take me for? You make so much money, how much of it did you ever spend on me? Did you just treat me as some kind of outlet?" She was going too far. I defended myself, "You also treated me as a transition. You waited for your true love to come back, and I waited to save enough to study abroad. Neither of us owes the other anything." She broke down and shouted, "You freeloaded off me." People in the cafe turned to look, someone even started recording. I quickly tried to calm her. "What do you mean freeloading? I won't let you degrade yourself like that. I fell for you at first sight, you're important to me." After being with her, saving money didn't feel painful anymore. I was in a good mood every day. When I walked down the street with her, people looked at me with envy, and my vanity was endlessly satisfied. Just then, a furious male voice came from the side, shouting, "You bastard! How dare you steal my girl?" I replied, Vincent, who taught you to speak so crudely? Or were you just born without manners? He had just joined a workplace that put great emphasis on personal conduct. If he wanted to argue or fight, I was more than happy to oblige. I wouldn't mind this whole scene spreading online. After all, there were plenty of details that would make him look bad. And the academic world didn't care about this stuff. As long as you didn't date your advisor or your student, any romantic drama was just decoration around your actual ability. I leaned into the scene, protecting Rosalie behind me, and said with deep dramatic affection, I really do like Rosalie. Is it a crime to like someone? If you really loved her, you wouldn't have left her alone for so many years. You claim you're better than me, but what have you actually done for her? All I see is someone who comes back now that it's convenient and expects everything to fall into place. Vincent's face turned red with anger. Rosalie looked between the two of us, completely speechless. The situation was spiraling, and honestly, I was enjoying every second of it. This was the perfect dramatic exit from this chapter of my life, and I was making sure it counted. Chapter 18. After that confrontation, I blocked both Rosalie and Vincent on all platforms. There was no point in maintaining contact anymore. My visa came through smoothly, and I started preparing for my departure. I sold most of my furniture, donated clothes I didn't need, and organized my research materials into digital files. Sophie messaged me from the States, sending me tips about housing near campus, recommended restaurants, and even connected me with some current PhD students in my department. Her kindness throughout this entire process had been overwhelming, and I made a mental note to properly thank her once I arrived. The night before my flight, I had dinner with my parents. My mom kept fussing over me, asking if I had packed enough warm clothes, if I had my medications, if I knew how to cook basic meals. My dad was quieter, but I could see the pride in his eyes. He finally said, "You worked hard for this. Don't waste the opportunity." I nodded solemnly. "I won't." My mom suddenly teared up. "That $1.5 million, if we hadn't lost it, you could have gone 3 years earlier. We delayed your dreams." I squeezed her hand. "Mom, no. Those 3 years taught me things I wouldn't have learned in any classroom. I learned discipline, patience, and how to balance multiple priorities. I'm actually grateful for how things turned out." She wiped her eyes and smiled. "When did you become so mature?" "When I realized that detours aren't always setbacks," I said. "Sometimes they're just different paths to the same destination." The next morning, as I sat in the airport terminal waiting for my boarding call, I pulled out my old notebook one last time. I looked at my list of goals and smiled. One by one, I had been checking them off, not in the order I expected, but in the order life presented them. Goal number 2 was finally happening. And as I boarded the plane, I felt a profound sense of peace. The past year with Rosalie hadn't been a mistake or a waste of time. It had been exactly what I needed when I needed it, a beautiful distraction that made the hardest years of my life bearable. As the plane lifted off, I looked down at the city below, at all the memories scattered across its streets and buildings. Somewhere down there, Rosalie was probably with Vincent, living the life she had always wanted. And I was heading toward mine. We were both finally where we belonged. Epilogue. 2 years later, I was deep into my research at MIT, working on a breakthrough in plasma confinement that had the potential to advance fusion energy significantly. Sophie and I had become close collaborators. Her work in astrophysics surprisingly complemented my fusion research in unexpected ways. One evening, my phone buzzed with a message from Ethan. He had gotten into one of the top universities in the country, just as I knew he would. Attached was a photo of him at orientation, grinning widely. "Thanks for everything, bro," his message read. "By the way, my sister says hi. She's single now, in case you were wondering." Smirking face. I laughed out loud. Some things never changed. I typed back, "Congratulations. Tell Christina I said hi. And tell her I'm focusing on my research right now, maybe in another timeline." Another message came through, this time from an unknown number. Curiosity got the better of me, and I opened it. It was a wedding invitation. Rosalie and Vincent were getting married in 3 months. There was a short note, "I hope you can come. Despite everything, you were important to me. R." I stared at the invitation for a long moment, then smiled and deleted it. Some chapters close completely, and that's okay. I had no bitterness, no regrets. She had been part of my journey, but she wasn't my destination. I looked around my small but comfortable apartment near campus, at the walls covered with equations and research papers, at the half-finished cup of coffee on my desk. This was my life now, exactly as I had planned it years ago. My phone buzzed again. This time it was Sophie. Want to grab dinner? I need your opinion on something. Sure, I replied. Give me 10 minutes. As I grabbed my jacket and headed out, I couldn't help but feel grateful. Grateful for the detours, grateful for the lessons, grateful for the dreams that waited patiently for me to catch up to them. I had finally arrived where I always meant to be. And it felt perfect.